the sound is audible and the screen is visible. You can use the question box on the right hand side in the control panel to respond. Very warm welcome to all and thank you for joining our MTech session. I am Meenakshi Sharma from Confederation of Indian Industry. Today's session is presented to us by ISRI India. ISRI is a global leader in geographic information systems and builds most powerful mapping and spatial analytics software and empowers businesses to gain competitive advantage with location intelligence. Today's webinar is focused around how power of geospatial analytics can strengthen the entire planning and operations that helps discover growth opportunities and strengthen services. We welcome our esteemed speakers from ISRI India. Mr. Rahul Gupta heads the enterprise sales for ISRI India and is based out of Delhi. He comes with more than 2 decades of sales experience and has worked with various technology companies. Mr. Asad Ansari, our second speaker, is a pre-sales and technical solution consultant with ISRI India. He has more than a decade of experience in GIS and location technology. Our third speaker, Mr. Vibhu Sinha, is based out of Kolkata and is a pre-sales and technical consultant with ISRI India and works closely with utility, urban, and commercial enterprises. A very warm welcome from CII to all the speakers. The session will go on for the first hour, as you can see in the welcome slide currently on the screen. After this, we will open the platform for Q&A. You all are requested to listen to the session patiently, and you all can start typing and posting questions in the question box. Our speakers for today would be available to address all your questions which are posted on the question box. If the bandwidth is good and at your end, we will also allow an opportunity to speak and interact with the speakers. So you can post all your questions during the session and we will address them after our today's session. So thank you, ISRI India, for presenting this session today. I'm requesting Mr. Rahul Gupta to please begin the session.
Thanks a lot, Meenakshi. I hope you can see the screens.
Yes, we can see the screen and we can see you also. And your sound is also.
I'll say good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar today. First of all, I'll want to thank CII giving us a platform to interact with you. So today we're gonna be talking about strengthened business planning, operations, and growth. But before that, I wish everyone is safe and sound. Everyone, along with their family, is safe and sound. It's a difficult situation that we are into right now. So today's plan is we'll be talking about a bit about ISRI, about ISRI India. We'll also be talking a bit about the use cases. The use cases are mainly around, say, the manufacturing and logistics vertical. And we'll talk a little bit about what GIS and geospatial analytics is. So starting with ISRI. So ISRI is a global organization. Like, we are a market leaders in geospatial analytics and geographical information systems. We are based out of US. We have around 350,000 customers worldwide. We have around 80 plus global offices presence in 130 plus countries. 75% of our Fortune 100 companies, they use our software, Fortune 500 companies, sorry, and are very importantly, like, in fact, we happen to be the one of the biggest spenders on the R&D. So the total revenue, like, we spend close to 30% of our revenue on R&D. Talking about our India presence, we have been in India since 1996, but before that, like, our presence has been earlier than that. Actually, we have been present in India along with our partners, but 96 we started our own venture here in India. We have close to 5,000 plus customers across the region, I would say. Offices, we are based out of Noida. We have office in Delhi. We have office in Gurgaon. We have office in Mumbai, Kolkata. We have office in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. So all the major cities you look into, like, we have offices there. Otherwise, like, we are present through our partners various partners across India. And our presence, you can see, like we span across multiple industries. We have solutions in e-governance, defense, insurance, urban planning, energy, manufacturing. Like we'll be talking a lot more about manufacturing solutions that we have to offer. Going further, so these are the various, say, verticals that we our solutions cater to. You look into business, we have solutions for retail, manufacturing, banking, insurance, transportation, utilities and communication, telecommunications, water, gas, pipeline, electricity, natural resources, agriculture, oceans, water, government, state government, central government. We have solutions for all of them. And if you look into workflows, we have our workflows or solutions. Like these are our solutions would be on the network management, supply chain, marketing and sales, underwriting and risk, public safety, asset management. Yeah. So first and foremost, what is GIS or Geographical Information System? So a geographical information system integrates hardware, software, and data for capturing, managing, analyzing, and displaying all forms of geographically referenced information. So GIS helps us in answering questions and solving problems by looking at data in a way that is quickly understood and easily shared, resulting in an improved communication and enhanced decision makings. So what kind of questions do we have? So we talk about where are my customers, where are my employees, where are my suppliers, where are my supply trucks, where should I open my next outlet, where is at present my product delivery van, where are my prospects based out of, where are my field sellers, where are my outlets, dealers, distributors. Yeah. So we can safely say geographical information system is nothing but the science of where. So where we define the position latitude, and we are talking about geographical information system. Also, you can see GIS integrates all type of data, whether it's coming from imagery, it's in a tabular format, it's unstructured data, it's in a vector format, it's a 3D, yeah, or big data, LiDAR, or CAD and BIM. Also, when we talk about location, so data, like in my earlier slide, I did reference about data being an important component. So data can be coming in from your enterprise systems. It can be coming in from, say, your ERP, your CRM. It can be coming in from your asset management solutions. It can be coming in from your, say, finance information, financial information. Can be coming from HR. It can be third-party information coming in from information talking about your competition, demography. So all this data, when we combine or when we say link it together along with location, when I say location, we are linking it along with the lat long, and we present it across on a map. We bring a location intelligence to it, and that's what we call as, say, bringing in location intelligence to the information which we already have coming in from your information that is already there, or the data which is already there with you, the data which we provide to you, or the data which comes in from a third party. Also looking into GIS, like we see GIS is advancing rapidly, talking about data, talking about computing, or talking about innovation. The platform is actually advancing very rapidly. It's integrating data, computing, and innovation, and it's making it much easy, much open, and more accessible to everyone. So I'll say location platform is part of your enterprise architecture. So you have enterprise applications coming in from, so you buy hardware, you have a entire application talking about your giving information, interacting with the entire enterprise. So goes in for location information. So the GIS system sits and interacts with the hardware, the architecture that you have defined for your enterprise systems, your business systems. So it's a enterprise solution that we are talking about. Now, talking again about science of where. So there are, apart from the where solutions, there are a few questions that you may be able to answer when you look into the analytics given by the solution. So what is the correlation between geography and my consumer experiences? How can I optimize my sales territories, service delivery areas, and routes? Where are my assets spread across multiple geographies? How can I locate areas impacting my supply chain and logistics operations? And the solution, like we are talking about the solution going in for various segments. It can be retail, it can be BFSI. When I say BFSI, it will be banking, financial, insurance. We are talking about manufacturing, we are talking about mining. And these questions can be answered by our solution for any of the verticals that we talked about. Talking about a few use cases or success stories. So Home Credit happens to be one of a global NBFC. They are into microfinance business. They are a lending organization. So they use our solution. Yum is a retail outlet. It's an American fast food company, Pizza Hut and KFC. They are part of Yum. HDFC Ergo, it's a joint venture between HDFC and Ergo. It's a general insurance company. So, and they are also using our solution. So I'll share with you for what they're using the solution for. So Home Credit uses for customer segmentation, and then they do it basis purchase history of various products, the age bracket that is available, the various demography which is available to them. Also, they improve on the field allocation of the collection agents for better productivity. So what happens is the field allocation for them, it varies actually. So for the salespeople, it's different. For collection agent, it's different. So to optimize that, they use our solution. Yum, again, it's they do the territory mapping of the sales rep versus the sales prospect. They also look into the site suitability where they want to open the stores. They also look into the climatic conditions. What is the beverage or food that they need to serve? Like depending upon, say, suppose today the temperature drops, so they will figure out in which area the rains has happened, which the temperature has gone down today, and accordingly they can share with that outlet whether they need to serve have a more quantity of cold drinks available or hot tea available. HDFC Ergo, they are into crop insurance business. So their underwriting team and their claims team, they use our solution. So basically to analyze into whenever they work on their a premium for underwriting team, when they decide upon a premium for a certain region, they look into our solution, they look into what kind of history that has, and then what is gonna be further outlook of that territory, and accordingly they fix a premium for it. And similarly, when the claim comes in, the claim department uses our software. It's based on remote sensing. So they use satellite imagery to ascertain what. So if someone is sending across insurance, claiming insurance for say 50% of crop loss, they can find out whether it's been 50% or 70% or 80%. So accordingly, they match it across. Talking more about say success stories, you can look, like I'll share a few more names. You can look into the financial. These are all India success stories that we have. In between, you look into the manufacturing, then we have retail, and then we have certain consultants. So this is what we have for the success stories. We'll be talking more about the use cases in our further slides. Also, I'll share with you, like we are gonna be in the chat window, you will be seeing a survey link. This is a GIS enabled survey link. You take that survey, and towards the end of the presentation, we'll share how the information that has been collected looks across HANA, and then it's gonna be very interesting for all the people who are attending the webinar. Now I'll pass it on to my colleague Asad. Asad will take you through more information on what we have to offer in geoanalytics, geospatial analytics, and GIS, and he'll share a lot of use cases. Meenakshi, I'll request you to transfer it across to Asad, please.
Yes, we are able to see Asad's screen now. Yes, Mr. Asad.
Thanks, Meenakshi.
Sure.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible, Meenakshi?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Rahul, for setting up the context well suited for as per our nowadays changing economy, where it is impacting a lot of verticals, be it like manufacturing, real estate, mining, BFSI, transportation, or if we say about the horizontal component as well, like supply chain management, finding up the new customers or so. So moving ahead, so location enablement across industries basically refers to a common denominator of location that is repository in our databases, in our day-to-day activities. So be it like insurance, retail, where we are actually we are trying to find up the new customers, we are trying to find up the customers where we have to make deliveries, or in terms of manufacturing, which is having a, you can say, common problems like skilled workers, inventory and project management, consumerism trends. That's where actually we are trying to understand the lockdown situations as well, because there have been a lot of skilled migrants, people who have shifted from one location to another location, as well as the demand has also changed their location too. So be it like in terms of globalization, where you have to get up your materials from, or in terms of business continuity planning, how to keep your business going on with the safety of the staff, as well as your operations efficiency, along with your customers too. So all these aspects is way much possible and are correlated actually. The decision that we make every day, it's through geography only, through location component. And it's very important for us to understand and bring up this component from our native databases that we are doing or we are analyzing onto a map-based platform. So that's where actually we call it as GIS, or location intelligence, or geospatial technology. So some of the use cases that we would like to discuss over here, and some of the common ones. To start with, like, first of all, we would like to enable the location component in your native databases, and what it can do, the wonders that it can do. Starting up, the first one is about the asset management. Asset management is basically, you would like to understand where are your assets, be it like service centers, your warehouses, your manufacturing units, where are your computers where you are actually interested to scale up, or you want to have a market penetration done, where are your logistics to be deployed in order to cater around the different customers throughout 24/7. So all those things can only play or you can perform these operations only when you are plotting up these data sets on a map. So that's, we call it as an asset management. And we have seen across the industries that asset management is right away backed up by a big database or the big data houses. The databases could be like Oracle, SAP, or any particular database that you would be using, but you're not able to use the location component into that. So for that, you need to bring up the location component on a map, and then you can see the things happening on a map, where you can have your business continuity planning to be done, where you understand your presence and your organization footprint, where you are available across a particular region. So that's number one about the asset management. Second, and an important thing followed up by asset management, is about planning and analysis. What if a particular warehouse or a service center is falling into an area or a red zone, or it's not performing as per your KPIs, as per your targets that you have set up, or the customers are not visiting, or there is a particular customer grievance for those particular manufacturing units or service centers also. So you need to have a better planning done, that if you want to cater around a falling service center with compared to the service center nearby, how would you do that? So all those things are a part of the planning and analysis. And as I mentioned, like in terms of the manufacturing vertical, there are a lot of people and there are a lot of agencies, and it's a common problem actually. It's about the skilled and the workers, as well as the project management, the inventory and the project management. People are not able to understand in terms of the automobile industry that a particular spare part that is not available for a bike model. So before it gets backend, or before it gets empty, or there is no spare part for a particular vehicle, there should be an alarming system. And if it is not there, then there should be a business continuity planning that one can transfer from one location to another, how we can actually keep on performing these things. So these are very important. So these are part of the planning and analysis. Third, and a very important one about the business expansion, is about the site selection. We call it as a catchment area also. And I mentioned about a globalization, where you are actually interested to scale up your businesses. So what are locations you would like to do that? So that's what a part of the site selection is. You would like to know where you want to grow, where you would like to have a new business outlet to be done. If there are a lot of customers already there, and then you would like to know where you would like your new dealer to be located at, be it like retail, be it like your service center, be it like any particular community service office that you would like to open. So where? So I understand, and I believe like GIS, as Rahul has also mentioned, that it's been into the industry for more than like 3 decades, 4 decades. But with Esri technology, what we are telling you is like not only the answer of where, but why. So in terms of site selection, when I'm saying that why you need to be there along with the where components, it's about using the disruptive technologies as well. So we have inbuilt algorithms that helps you out in terms of using your machine learning as well as your AI and different disruptive technology models along with our technology, so that you can see the things wander up. It's not looking on the things on a map only in a vanilla flavor, but yes, you will be performing a lot of analysis that the lot of data scientists, data analysts people do for the site selection, giving you logical answers and a more concrete answers and lesser probability of getting up a failure of those locations too. Fourth important factor is about the data management. And it's very important, like databases, data warehouses, data mining, business intelligence software have been into the are a part of the technology for a longer period of time. But nowadays, what's happening is location is playing a very important role. And earlier it was like content management system, where people were understanding like in terms of the username, in terms of the IDs that that they reposits, or a primary key that they would like to fetch up the databases reports out of for. But nowadays location is playing a very important role. And location is, for example, I am based out of Delhi NCR, and I've been visiting my office somewhere in Gurgaon, then I'm coming to my client location, or if I'm residing in some place in Delhi. So location for me varies from one place to one place to another, but my uniqueness of my name is actually is a common one. And through the organization, if a trend is being pulled out on a map, I would the organization can see that where all places I have visited, what are my trends and preferences, and that is how the location content management systems comes into picture, which was earlier only limited to content management system. So that's a part of the data management. A lot of big data activities are being performed using geospatial technology, be it like tower coverage or understanding your customers, where you need to perform your fraud detection. You would like to have your aggregations of millions and millions of customers by a grid of, let's say, 5 kilometer by 5 kilometer across India or across globe. So you can perform all these analysis as a part of the data management activities by enabling the location component within your databases. Fifth factor is about the situational awareness, and this is in context to nowadays unfortunate reason, like GIS have got a lot of feedback, actually a positive feedback, and it's changing the way we were looking GIS before the pandemic of this COVID, because right now we might be working from home, or we would like to understand the remote condition, that how is my area around my offices, or how is my neighboring tower or neighboring society is performing, and all. I mean, like in terms of understanding the patients coming up. So while sitting at office, we would like to understand the different situations that are that are into the area of our interest, actually. So for that, it's no way possible by understanding or using the GIS technology or remote sensing. If a particular society or a particular sector or a particular ward or particular pin code has been categorized as alert or a quarantine zone by the government or by the respective agencies, so you can take a primitive actions. How would you actually cater around if you want to reach out a different location, or if you want to, if your manufacturing unit falls into that area, then how would you have your business continuity planning done, or the business resilience can be made? So these are part of the situational awareness, and that's no way possible without GIS. Then we have the field mobility, because I have personally experienced while working with a lot of commercial clients that field mobility plays a very important role, right away from understanding like how many field visits a particular person do, or a salesperson performs in a day-to-day, or what all area he has covered in order to reach out different dealers, different service centers, or different surveys, in terms of getting up the revenues, or speaking or interacting with a lot of merchandisers on the field. So you would like to have a common dashboard where you are tracking up all those activities for entire organizations field crew members. So we have the mobility field applications also for the same, where you can understand and you can mitigate these kind of problems of getting up the data from the field in an analog format, then you perform the digital ways and so on. So it's using the location component and using the mobile field applications, you can bring up those data sets onto our platform as well. The last and a very important one, and one of my favorite, is the community engagement, because customer is God for a lot of for almost all the agencies, for almost all the organizations, and you would like to have a feedback, or you would like to keep your customers happy. So how would you do that? You would like to have a proper applications out of the box where they are integrated at a private level with your organizations too. So it's like an application which you are keeping a records of your customers on a confidential basis, but you are even though able to get up the responses as a public outreach too. So that's where actually community engagement comes into picture. So giving you an example about a manufacturing unit, and I heard some time back about this, that there was a problem with a particular commodity, like let's say for an AC or fridge, and and the person at the consumer actually was complaining through the customer care, but he was not able to get it rectified. Or maybe because of his prompt action, what he did, he is basically put that request on a Twitter handle. And since Twitter handle is something like people would not like to have a complaints against for, because that's a medium that's been viewed by a lot of and million of people across the globe, like 1 million tweets per second happens, and that was able to, and that actually made him you can say get his problem resolved through social media. So we have the apps available, we have the solutions available, and people are using that, where they are integrating their entire platform and having a separate team where they are crawling and getting the functions on the Twitter handles to that which location the complaints are coming up from, and so that they can quickly respond, and so they can ask their field crew also, or the technician, to resolve those issues. So these are some of the very important and very crucial use cases that we have in terms of what you get if you turn up your data into a spatial data and see the actionable intelligence coming into picture. Next, we have let's understand like customer analytics insights powered by location. The first one is about the data profiling. So I would like to know what type of a customer, what type of my dealership is into the market or into the location. So I would like to have a profiling done. So that's where actually data profiling happens. I would like to know what type of customer is favoring what type of a product line of my business, of my organization, so that I can have a right context of a products being into the market. I can produce a right quantity of some market demand. I can meet up
Asad, can you hear me,
supply and demands too. Yeah.
Your slide is not
you.
moving.
I'm on the customer analytics insights powered by location. Can anybody
No, you're on turn special data into actionable intelligence.
Maybe I'll just. Is it visible now?
Not yet. Probably. Meenakshi,
maybe I'll
or
reshare
Ashwin,
the screen. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah, please.
I think there is some bandwidth issue.
Is it visible now?
No, it's the same screen which we are getting.
I hope you have not paused the screen.
No, I haven't paused the screen.
Okay, just a moment. I will.
Please. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Is this the one?
Customer analytics insights powered by location. Are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Wait, we can't see your screen right now.
I'm doing it actually.
Who wants to share the screen? Asad?
No, give it to Asad. Give it to Asad only.
Yeah. Asad, you have the rights. Could you please share the screen?
Yeah, I have shared actually. I'll share it again.
I think some internet connectivity issue at your end.
Okay. Rahul, can you share this particular slide?
I'll do that. I'll do that. Meenakshi, can you transfer it across to me, please? Can you see it, Sadhna?
Yes.
It's coming up. No, not yet. Not yet. Give me a moment. Let me just reconnect.
No.
Just a minute.
Can you see that now?
I cannot see that. Now I can see. Now I can see.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks a lot. So, respected audience, sorry for this particular technical hit. So moving ahead, customer analytics. Let's see how actually location plays a very important role across different verticals. So the first one that I was stating or illustrating was about data profiling. Very important factor for a lot of organization is to understand there is a variety of the customers favors a particular organization's products. We need to have a profiling done, what type of a segment of consumer is favoring what type of product and not what are locations, so that you can match up your supply and demand accordingly. You can manage your production units, you can ask your sales targets also, you can manage your sales target as well. You can have a better customer understanding, you can have a better customer outreach also. So that's where actually customer segmentation comes into picture, where you would like to understand the type of customers as per sales too. Second important thing is about the customer service, where you would like to maximize your productivity. Giving an example about the churn prevention. And churn prevention is very important for a lot of organizations, for most of the organizations, because they do not lose up their loyal customers. And this is a very common problem actually that we have seen and we have addressed across different industries, that if a single mistake or a single actually a bad experience for a loyal customers can make them lose up their organization. So you can lose up your customer as well at the same time. So that's where actually you would like to know how you can retain them, how you keep on having a target marketing to be done, how would you look forward to outreach them. You would like to know that, okay, what type of customer services they require. So to reduce your churn prevention, to have reduce your churn actually of the customers, so that's where actually GIS plays a very important role. Third is about the brand awareness, where people are interested to know about what type of product is coming into the market. Just giving an example, like there is almost a threshold of 2-3 months or 5 months or 6 months for any product that is going to going to get launched into the market, be it like from a car or any particular any retail or any particular commodity that's going to come into it's going to come into the market. So that's where actually target marketing comes. So the right product message at the right appropriate location. We get a lot of messages on our mobile also that this particular brand is giving this kind of discount on these apparels also. So this is a particular example of the target marketing, because they understand about our data set, they understand about our trends and patterns. That's we call it as a tapestry data. So moving ahead with the tapestry data, which is very important about the demographics as well, and crucial customer analytics analysis is being performed using demographics only. I would like to know about the census information about like total population, total households, total male, total female, what type of a segment is what type of a segment of the people reside of a particular location. So that's where actually demographic come into picture. Citing you an example about a particular location where you have a lot of educations institutes, so maybe you would be interested to have a target or have an understanding that, okay, I might be targeting age group of, let's say, from 18 to 25, where there could be people who would be favoring your automobile, a particular automobile section, or education loan only rather than going for home loan also, because of the segment of the people you are targeting. So all those decision comes into picture when you understand that demographics in a very fashionable manner and give you the revealing output that the native databases do not give. Rahul, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So let's see now, after the customer analytics, about the sales analytics. So the first thing that an organization point of view you would like to perform for your sales analytics is about the market planning done. You would like to set up your real targets as per the geographical demand that you are looking into the market. For that, you would like to rank up your markets, the top 10 markets or the top 5 regions actually you would like to target for. Be it like coming up your loyal customers from or the new regions. You would like to have your competitors analysis also, like where are your competitors. Maybe you would like to increase up your or have a better correlation or the relation with your competitors, because we have seen into the let's giving an example for the cement industry, like if you want to have a market penetration done, so what the giants do is basically they have a handshake where they are actually selling up their bags and the competitors bag at a competitive price, as a reasonable price actually. So these kind of a decision can come into picture once you do the market planning. Second is about the business expansion and the market expansion, and to do this we need to understand the areas of growth. So site selection is where actually GIS can help you out with. You would like to know where you need to grow. I like it myself because this is a very common problem, and a lot of management agencies as well as consultant agencies are solving up using GIS only. Where you need to grow, but again the question is why you need to grow there. So these kind of decisions can take up can only be measured and can only be analyzed using a platform that gives you all those tools available. Third is about the sales information tracking, and this is basically the real-time tracking of your sales field crew, or even though people who are sitting in the office, you would like to have a tracking of the reports or the KPIs that they're doing it or performing on a weekly basis or fortnight basis. So how do we keep those updated things? So we have a dashboard concept. You can use your dashboards where you can have your pre-configured things available onto the organization configured things that you can visualize onto the a particular platform. And giving an example, like while speaking to a manufacturing unit which was interested to track up their remote or the rural area sales crew member, that how much area they have traveled, so that they can raise their travel vouchers too. So what they did, they basically used a platform for where they have the dashboard saying that, okay, Asad, that's me, actually have traveled from one location to another location, and this is the area that I've covered in kilometers, and I can reimburse my travel allowances and all those on an actual basis. So that's where actually smart sales information tracking came into picture. So that was one of the examples for the manufacturing unit. So fourth one is about the sales territory planning, and this is very, very important because you would like to align your market, you would like to align your businesses and your sales territories as per your sales targets as well. So giving an example about Delhi, which is a high density population but a smaller in area, and let's take an example for MP or UP or some other region like Rajasthan, where you have a larger area but volume could be less. So what all territories, how many sales territories you can plan out for? So I've got two managers which will be looking out for Delhi, and one manager who would be looking out for Rajasthan. So you would like to balance the targets for them, because Delhi being small, but yes, you have a lot of potential over there. Rajasthan person had to do a more stress by traveling on different locations. So what all territories he need to cover, so that there is at the end of the financial year there is no mismatch and saying that, okay, one is biased toward one territory and another is not. So that's where actually sales territory planning comes into picture. And we have a concept of machine learning algorithm that says about clustering. So through clustering, actually we are able to solve these territory alignments for sales target, and we have a sales balanced territory for all of these staff people. So by the end of the day, it can also help you out to tell that, okay, these much territories are planned as per the sales target that you have set out for. So the number of the sales territories could be the number of the sales people required. So you can actually hire, or you can promote, or you can increase our coverage of a particular salesperson onto the field, or the regional managers. So that's where actually sales territory planning comes into picture for the sales analytics. Rahul, next slides, please. Great. Rahul, I would request that if you can run the entire thing. So this is very important thing in terms of the business expansion GIS convention. We have tried to cover almost all of the attributes that contribute for the business expansion. The first one is about the existing locations. As we mentioned about the assets management, you would like to first of all put up your data sites to find up the new sites, and that's where actually gap analysis comes into picture. You would like to know where you are and where you need to grow up your business to. Second is about the geographic boundaries. When we are saying about the GIS and and we need to understand what all geographic boundaries we are catering into. So it's like sub-districts, districts, pin codes. You would be definitely catering up your customers' addresses in terms of pin codes or sectors or wards. So you like to know about the geographic boundaries that are available for entire country. Third is about you would like to aggregate your customers' presence. Where are the customers coming up from? It could be possible I have a manufacturing unit or the dealership based out of Bhopal, but I do not have anywhere in for Indore. So maybe I have got customers over there. I could correlate, or I can have a next understanding as per my higher stakeholders discussion, that I can open a retail outlet or a dealership at Indore also, because I've got a good presence of the customers too. So that's only way possible once you visualize your geographic relationship between orders placed, customers, or versus your existing locations. Fourth is about, and a very important one, where you need to grow at a particular location is about the point of interest, because you would not like to miss up your customers outreach. You would like to know which all places there is a lot of footfall of the customers, of the traffic of the people comes actually. And we have seen for a lot of agencies, people are interested for POIs like petrol pumps, hospitals, schools, colleges, restaurants, ATMs, malls. So these are some of the POIs people are interested, so that they can actually somewhere nearby they can place up their service center or dealer also, so that people can reach out to them very easily. Then we have the demographic parameter. As I mentioned about the demographics, it's basically the population that we are catering into, what kind of target audience we can target out for. So, and we are going to see this demo in next few slides. Then we have the psychographic data. So demographic data is basically the census data. Psychographic data is about the spending pattern and expenditure pattern. So what is the habit? So for example, I'm more preferable to look out for to reach out for or interested for football game rather than cricket. So that's my preference actually. Someone would be interested for some kind of a beverage or some kind of a food habit. So all those things are also coming up and grooming up slowly in our Indian context. We understand US and globally they are very, very strong, but we are also grooming up in these kind of a data sets, which is very, very important to understand the taste and preferences of a lot of customers, or the lot of people actually residing at different locations. Then we have the micro market profiling, and this is in comparison to geographic boundaries. We understand like sectors, we understand wards, we understand districts, sub-districts, and all those. But what if I divide the entire India in terms of 5 kilometer by 5 kilometer grid, where it can give you a better resoluted as well as more granular level of information? So that's where actually you can decide that I want to open a new outlet across the road on the right hand side, or the left hand side, or east or north side, because that's what the micro market profiling data comes into picture. And this is way much available and with us actually, and we can help you out to plot it onto the map, and then you can see the things on a granular level for the entire India too. Then we actually put up and pull up your database using the location component onto our GIS platform. That's what we call it as business sales factor. You can bring up your sales business data onto a GIS platform, and then because that's very important to bring up your existing locations or your sales data or your marketing data and so. And the last and the very important thing that's most favorable is about, like, if I'm out to the retail agency or I'm a competitor, I have a competitor to the market, I would like to know where the competitor is present. Maybe I can take up a decision like I would like to have a market penetration where my competitor is, or maybe I can have a different strategy to understand where my competitor is. So I'll not say use the word enemy, but yes, competitor is something that you can make the benefit out of, as well as you can have a better strategy to be built up. So these are some of the business expansion GIS configuration that we would like to discuss, and that's no way possible without using GIS or location intelligence system. Rahul, next slide, please. Okay, asset and inventory management, as I mentioned about, like, that's a building block, and a lot of organizations are using the databases, big databases, databases where they're not able to utilize this fully because they're not able to plug it or analyze it on a map. That's number one. So they can use it as a part of the asset and inventory management. We can integrate with SAS or SAP or any particular technology that you're speaking with. Some of the databases already have this special component, but yes, that's only the vanilla flavor. You can see those things on a base map only. Whereas if we integrate with your ERP and bring out some of the more information, you can perform analysis also, like drive time trade areas, You can perform the analysis that I've discussed in the last few slides, and we can actually help you out to understand more of your customers' patterns and trends and so on in a better way. So that's a building block and the USP of using your asset management using geospatial technology. Rahul, next slide, please. Warehouse distribution center analysis, and this is very important, and it's a part of your, it could be a part of your logistics as well as supply chain management or business expansion. You would like to know that where I need to place up my new dealer or near new warehouses, because we understand that, and we agree to this, that because of the lockdown, a lot of people, a lot of IT people, non-IT people, or the skilled people have migrated from one place to another, and there is a huge demand to their actually native places where they have gone for. So there could be a lot of deliveries happening from Amazon or from any particular retail agency, more than a rural area than an urban area, because there is a entire the shift of the people that have gone and gone to their native places and they are working upon. So you might have to open a temporary dealer house or a warehouse or a logistics. You have to tweak around where the supply is coming up from. You need to understand that. So that's where actually warehouse distribution center analysis comes into picture. And I would like to bring your attention towards a blockchain disruptive technology. So any organization that is using or trying to implement blockchain for a supply chain management in a supply chain management is no way possible without using GIS. You have to use geospatial technology or GIS technology in order to club your supply chain management to implement with blockchain. Next, Rahul, slide. Thanks. Looking into the current situations of the pandemic, we understand, like for the business continuity and planning, we would like to keep our staff safe. We would like to minimize the hamper that can affect our manufacturing unit or dealers locations in order to operate and provide these services to your customers, to reach out to your customers. So we would like to have a better business continuity plan for the same. So we have started up like when unfortunately for this COVID reason actually, so when we started up different solutions across COVID. So this is the BCP plan for the commercial business, where organizations are able to understand where their staff is, because the first place, like you would like to have a reporting of the staff, how they are doing it, how they are actually daily wise reporting, like how they are actually hale and hearty. How is your actually team manager reporting on about his subordinates, about his team, like how they are actually hale and hearty and they are doing good in a good condition, so that they can perform from their office or from their home. And simultaneously, if you get this data for, let's say, about 40,000 people or 1 million people of your field staff, you would be able to understand which all locations you would like to manage, you would like to operate, and what all locations and in what all time. It could be possible that you can minimize your workforce at a particular manufacturing unit because of the social distancing to be maintained. You would like to have a proper check-ins, you would like to have a better availability of your individuals, team, sites, and finally you would like to manage this for a higher stakeholders dashboards, where they can, it could be the dashboard that can be governed by human resources department, HR department, or different sales region people, or the territory managers, sales managers, or at a GM level people who would like to understand how their operations are doing and what all conditions they are able to monitor it using the COVID data that's coming onto the GIS platform. Next slide, Rahul. So that's what we have it as a part of our business continuity plan, and for the COVID-19 conditions. So how, because it's almost unlock 5 or unlock 4 that we are speaking about, and we understand, like a lot of cases are growing up, but unfortunately we need to have a better business resilience system, and that's the only way much possible if we have a better strategy. And that strategy is through a proper BCP plan that we can have and enroll into our enterprise level, and where we can visualize and manage our operations impact, assess the risk that it can have it, and if it is having, then how we can actually mitigate that and keep rolling the production units into the market, and keep going on with the supply that we are getting onto the market, and having a business operations unaffected across the time. So that's what we have as a BCP plan for COVID. Next slide, Rahul. Supply chain performance and visibility, that's from the logistics side. These are some of the use cases. Like we are not saying only about the real-time tracking, but yes, you would like to know about your like where are the preventions can happen if a supply chain management, if a logistics had to be made using supply chain management. You would like to know where how much trucks actually are required to deploy or for a particular logistics supply. So giving an example that we have, it's about like I've got a 16 XL truck that can take around like 16 ton or let's say 2 ton actually, kind of a supply that it can have it done. I would like to know that how many trucks are required to supply a particular commodity into the market. So using the supply chain and the logistics module from ESRI, you would be able to understand what type of a truck you would be using it for day-to-day basis in creating the rosters for, and also meeting the demand. So it should not be like you are sending up a high volume or a high capacity vehicle onto the market and your logistics locations are less or your commodity is less. So you are actually losing up your fuel, you are losing up your efficiency, and you are losing up your entire ROI as well. So you need to have a smart grid system actually that can help you out to perform the supply chain performance and visibility in a real world manner. Next slide, Rahul. So for logistics, we said like you can optimize it only through GIS, be it like route planning and analysis, asset tracking. Navigation is very important, and that's very common actually. A lot of organizations, logistics organizations, are already using by tracing and navigating of their entire assets. But yes, what type of a truck or what type of vehicle is required, along with the what all locations you need to tweak around. So warehouse optimization is some of the optimization that we solve up for a lot of supply chain management agencies, telling them that these are the places where you might have to enroll your or find a suitable location in this particular sector for your warehouse and all those. So we have the executive dashboards finally end of the day that can help you out with. Okay, so yeah, that's okay, Rahul. You can move to the next slide, please. In terms of just single slide about like what application software we have. So we have the flagship product called ArcGIS as a flagship product name that we call it as, and our product start with Arc as a statutory name that we started with. So we have the solutions available that can sit in your premise behind your firewall, completely secured. We can have the SaaS-based platform as well. We can have an application that can be accessed over a web by people like across the location. It could be anywhere, anytime, on any device, and you can access your online content as well. So that's the entire product portfolio we have it. We are available in all the three types, be it like desktop, thick client, thin client, and at a database level also. Moving ahead, Rahul. So in a typical example, if you implement for the manufacturing or any particular agency, so these are some of the data set that we have as a common data platform. Not exactly data set we have it, but these are the data that you can enable as a part of the use cases like customer data, demographic data, sales data, and in between we have a layer of ArcGIS platform which can pull up your and speak to your native databases and perform like predictive analysis, machine learning algorithm, or maps, data services, models, and workflows, and give you the outputs for different teams. So it could be like sales, marketing, for customer experience, analytics also, because we have seen like a lot of data and analysts people are interested to use GIS component for understanding the different trends and patterns. They would like to have a prediction done for any particular demand into the market. IT people who would like to have a club it done along with their existing IT systems. And finally, for the business teams like strategy and planning, they can also avail all these data set on a map, and they can use this for our use cases that we have discussed. Next slide. So some of the technology, so I'll quickly run through. So we can perform spatial analysis. We can integrate with the languages that are famous nowadays, like be it like integration with R, integration with Python, integration with other languages as well. We can bring up all those things available on a map, and you can perform these analysis using Python, R, SAS, or SAS Builder, SAS Enterprise Guide, and all those different languages that are very much familiar and are famous across the organization. Next slide. Okay, big data. I mean, like people, we have seen like across the agencies, people are having a good repository of the data, so you can perform these kind of big data analysis also, where you can understand like the understand the trends and patterns and a small actually use cases and finding out a particular customer for a particular trend and pattern. Just imagine that you have your 1 million tweets, as I cited example, like 1 million tweets is happening 1 second. So just imagine for if you wanted to understand the trend and patterns over a Twitter feeds for 5 minutes, how voluminous data that would be. And you would like to know that for the last 5 minutes, what a tweet has happened against a particular commodity or in favorable of my commodity, or in terms of the requirement that has been put up on a social media. You would like to crunch up all those things, this voluminous data on a particular platform, and you would like to have a reporting and the visual interpretation done in a quick minutes of time. So that's where actually big data comes into picture. Next slide, please. Real-time data, and that's we call it as in terms of IoT. So as a part of the Internet of Things, we can connect and speak to different sensors that is available onto the field right away, from tracking up your field crew using their GPS or any particular maneuver or any particular vehicle or any particular sensor you have onto the field. You can have it done using our IoT based platform that we say, and it can give you the real-time dashboards update also. Next slide, Rahul. 3D. So I'll not emphasize much upon this, but yes, it's not the data that we are looking into 2D, but a lot of agencies who are working in and out as a part of the manufacturing units in terms of creating the entire warehouse or entire huge acres of manufacturing units. They would like to create BIM models. They would like to create a 3D structures. They would like to have a better continuity planning done, like what all people have to sit with a social distancing maintained. So we have those capabilities where 3D is quite familiar and quite famous across the different agencies. Next slide, please. Okay, imagery, and it's important because we have seen across the manufacturing units only and a different BFSI segment as well, that a lot of agencies are performing drone-based analysis. So we have the applications where it can give you the models, where it can bring up the data sets coming up from your drone that you have flying up, and we can bring up those data set on a GIS platform, and you can use the GIS platform to visualize what kind of trends and patterns it is giving you from a real world in a 3D as well as in 2D. And also the most important thing is like machine learning algorithm to predict any particular, let's say for a capacity or a volume of a particular vegetation. How would you do that? So we can use the satellite imagery, or we can use the different formats of the data as a part of our imagery, and we can perform those classification and segmentation done. So the context was to just set up to set up that we can ingest the data from real time, we can ingest the data from big data, we can ingest the data from imagery, and we can use up the 3D data as well. Next, please. And these are some of the apps. We have the apps available for field, we have the apps available for office, we have the apps available for community, like for reaching out onto the field, like crowdsource, story maps. We have the maps, you can say operation dashboard is quite famous across different agencies, because you would like to keep a KPI monitoring for different field crew. Then we have for the field, where you would like to have a field mobility apps to be built. But yes, we have these entire product suite seamlessly available, integrated way, and easily configurable. So we believe in like plug and play. That's what we have it for entire audience for. Next slide, please. Yeah, some of the growth skill, you can perform it using your store operations. You would like to optimize your locations in terms of where you need to grow and why you need to grow. Business intelligence, you can integrate with your already existing intelligence system by plotting up and by integrating with the GIS and location intelligence system. Third is about like you would like to set up the particular price for a new store. How would you do that? So setting up the right prices would attract the right type of a customer. So these kind of decisions can be very useful for the organizations. Market planning and site suitability, it's for the business expansion as well as for market expansion, where you would like to take up your strategical planning decisions, where you need to go and why you need to grow. Merchandising, you would like to have a as I mentioned about the mixing up your competitors' data or understanding your competitors' data. You would like to have a handshake, or you would like to give a more competitive competition to the competitor. So how would you do that? So that's where actually merchandising come into picture. And the most important thing for the customer and for the marketing analytics people is about the marketing campaigns. Reach out your customer locations with a remunerative message, with the right message for the right audience, with the right product. That's we have it in terms of the growth skill. Let's see about the ROIs. So these are some of the benefits spectrum, and I believe that covers the most important thing about, like, you should lower your costs, you should raise up your revenues in terms of finances, in terms of output. Yes, the most important thing is, like, you should be able to meet up your demand versus your supply that you are giving up. So that should increase your productivity, and there is no scarcity of there should not be a scarcity or overshooting of your productions. So you would like to keep and optimize operations of your outputs. Processes, yes, increase efficiency. You would like to have your keep on ROI to be built up Y on Y, and you would like to decrease up your risk as well. And the fourth and a very important one that actually constitutes finances, outputs, and processes for an organization is about the customers. You need to increase up the customer satisfaction and improve quality so that you have you reduce your customers churn, you attract more of the customers, and you keep on grow as for your entire organization for a profit, actually at a profitable level. So that's it from my side. Now I would request Vibhu to take on the steer and show some actionable things, and then we can have at the end the Q&A. Thanks, Rahul.
Thanks, Asad. So, thank you, Asad. Thank you for a very insightful presentation, and I hope it was useful to most of our attendees. So, before I get into our demonstrations and some storytelling sessions, I would request all the attendees to quickly, go to the chat window and see if they have filled in the survey form. So that survey form comes in as a link. That link is there. When you click on that link, you would be able to see a form, something like this, which I'm scrolling through right now. You just need to provide your name, your department, like you work for IT, you work for marketing, and which technologies are you focusing upon. So you can also leave your comments and some action items for us. We'll look into it. And most interesting part is you can tag in your location. So there is the fourth button on the left-hand side toolbar. Just click on that button and it will zoom onto your current location. So if we see that your current location is somewhere on the Mumbai-Pune Expressway or some other highway, we would send out a heartfelt thank you to you. So because you took out time for joining us and hearing us out. And if you're driving, so drive safe and we'll reach out to you. So once you're done with the survey, and I hope most of you have filled in your responses, I'll get back to the business. So talking about business. So once you are moving into a new territory, so you need to do some kind of a manufacturing territory planning, where you would want to manufacture your products, how would you deliver them to your endpoints, your customers, or your warehouses. So this is a story map. So story map, the idea of story map is very nice. You move ahead with the story and a map comes scrolling up. So while you're telling the story, you can also actually visualize it on a map, as I'm doing it right now. So this is about a manufacturer who is setting up his base in Colombia, and they want to cover 21 departmentos, or the states in Indian parlance, and they have approximately 9 manufacturing plants over there. Their first attempt was to work out a logistic route which will allow them to travel for approximately 500 kilometers and be back to the manufacturing base within the same day. But Colombia, as it appears that there are very quite a few physical barriers, rivers, bridges, high mountains without very decent motorable roads. So, the area of coverage is pretty small. And we are leaving out 2 manufacturing plants which can serve any of the departmentos that ways using a 500 kilometer radius for logistic operations. So what we do, so basis on 500 kilometer of area coverage, we were able to identify 12 zones like this. So as you can see over here, based on the routes and the areas identified, there were 12 territories which were identified. And to cover them, it was checked that what if we do a 100 kilometer round trip day on day, and how does it cover our bases and connect our manufacturing plants. So that way we were able to reduce or better organize the territories into 5 zones. So that ways we are making our operations more efficient, maximizing our fleet usage, and distributing our resources in a better way. Now, when you get your manufacturing and logistics chain well oiled, well working, what we need to do is we need to focus onto our dealer network. So how do you see your dealer network? So this is an example for a automaker. This is the names have been changed for demonstration purposes. So these are the locations for a dealer network. You can click on any of the dealer icon and it will give you the details about that particular auto dealer. We would further zoom in onto Detroit region, let's say, and it will show you the dealer territories as they have been assigned in different colors with the dealer locations identified as these icons, as point icons. And then what we will do is we would go ahead and we would see how best they are performing. In the region also, you could see that what was their sales stats. So if you click on a particular dealer icon, you could see what are the total sales, what are the brand sales in area of interest, what is the brand market share. So all these things, you can simply click on a particular dealer icon or dealer location and you would be able to see their stats. And how do you compare it in terms of market share? You just using you map it to their particular zip codes. So the darker the zip code color, the more market share you are having in that particular area. So for Precision Auto Sales in this area, we have a 5% of market share, whereas in lighter areas, the market share is less than 1%. So that ways you are able to identify areas where you could further improve or areas which are lagging behind for some reason. So once you have some kind of actionable information, what do you do with that? You try and find out problems or the patterns which are emerging in that particular territory or in that particular geography. So here you see what we have done is we have mapped a particular dealer and the sales they made to the customer's address. So this is how a nice dealer to customer chart comes up. This is a geographic representation. You see this block, it probably appears like there was a fleet sale made. Some fleet vehicle operator and they purchased a lot of vehicles. But does it give you the complete picture? Probably not. You'll get a better picture if you compare it to a second dealership, like how others are performing. Same brand, same products, probably same demography, but how are they performing? So you look at nearby dealership at Sterling Heights, and you see that while they are well distributed, they are also poaching into Farmington Hills sales territory. Now, there's nothing which stops you from doing that, but why is it being done? That has to be looked into. So you see a lot of green lines coming into Farmington Hills area. And what will happen if you put it in perspective with a third dealership? So this was the third territory called as Troy. And again, you will see that while Troy has made some, made some customers in area of Sterling Heights, the percentage or, the poaching percentage, as you see, is way high in Farmington Hill. So this yellow is something, to me, and right now it is representing caution. So how are they performing? I'll add one more, and I'll see that all the neighboring dealerships, they are kind of poaching into Farmington Hills sales territory. So probably it is, I would conclude that probably it is a problem which Farmington Hills is facing, probably in with respect to their brand positioning, in respect to their approachability. I don't know, but probably I'll do a very thorough investigation into this, and probably put in some reviews to make sure that Farmington Hills performs better and the poaching stops, so that the customers, they do not need to travel all the way from Troy or Sterling Heights to Farmington Hill or vice versa. Now, I would also like to understand what the market demand patterns are like. So this is a heat map. So based on the purchases records, I would see that most of the purchases are coming from Troy. So all the reddish areas, they represent a hotspot. Now, we have been through a COVID and imposed lockdown. For last 6 months, we have been hearing day in, day out about COVID, and this terminology, COVID, it was very prominent, COVID hotspots, which was coming up very prominently. So these are hotspots. So basically, you see aggregation of a phenomena in a particular place, highlighted as a geographic entity, and you have your hotspots. So these hotspots tell you that Livonia dealership is probably not, in a location where there are many hotspots, but they are very well, reaching out into Farmington Hills territory where there are a few hotspots. And Troy is very lucky to have an area which has a very high automobile demand. So that way is you plot out your areas, your territories, and see how your dealers are performing. And how do you do it in Indian context? So this is the map of India. I'll just zoom out, and you see some of fictional, my stores. Now, let's say I am selling a product for which, the target demography is population under 15. So I would like to see in what areas there is a maximum, or what is the maximum percentage of population under age of 15. So I'll see that most of the northern belt, northeast part of India, so there is a considerable percentage of young population who are below 15. This data which we are using is from 2018, and things may have changed marginally, but I'll just try and elaborate it using this data only, right? So you can further zoom in and see how the data are coming in. So as you keep on zooming in, you will see that I can see data based on districts. I can see data based on sub-districts. And if I click on a particular district, it will give me the details, like the population in area and the age of people under age of 15 are accounting for approximately 38%. So that is a big number. I mean, I should be focusing on this area more. Similarly, I also have products which cater to population over 60. So I can further look into it, and I see the pattern changes. I'll zoom out, and I'll see a pattern for population which is 60 and over. So probably I'm going to position my products and departmental stores in such a way that the products which are useful for people over 60, they are branded and positioned accordingly. I would also like to understand India purchasing power per capita. And how is it? So this is the distribution across India. Darker the color, higher the purchasing power. So again, you can zoom onto a particular area and you can see the purchasing power for districts and sub-districts simultaneously. So as you keep on zooming in, the level of detail keeps on changing. Now, there are multiple ways you would want to see your data. Another way could be that you may just want to understand your POIs by pin code. Why do I want it? Because because pin code data is something which is traditionally there. Most of the address data which we have typically contain pin codes, and I would like to know, how many colleges are there in particular pin code, so that I can understand how much young population is visiting those places, how many hospitals are there, so I can plan accordingly. Malls, so people who are spending on leisure and lifestyle, petrol pumps, restaurants. So there are various POIs which I get to see, and what I can do is I can further go ahead and do an aggregation over that. So that way is I would see that these POIs, this one, the
Vibhu,
pin
Rahul
code.
here.
Yes, sir.
We need to have, we just got 15 minutes. We need to have some question answer also. So
Yes, we are
probably if
through
you
it.
can finish in
We are-
say
we
2-3 minutes. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Definitely. We are just over. We are through the presentation, and so as you can see, for this particular pin code, the number of POIs is maximum, and we can use it. And apart from that, once I do that, another application I can see is, so I see there are 3 stores which I have, and I would like to understand what is the travel time from these stores. So the 3 buffers which you see, one is for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 30 minutes. And to increase the value or increase the our understanding of the purchasing power, we can weigh these buffers along with purchasing power parity. So you see that these two are catering to population which has more purchasing power, while this one is not. So probably here in this area, we can plan to open one more store. So to ease out these calculations, we also did a 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer grids for POI concentration, and this is how the POI concentration comes up for pan India. So the darker the color, more the POI or more spending patterns are being observed there. So this is what we have for now. I'll open the session for question answers, and if you have any queries, do share with us, and we'll try and
Vibhu, will Meenakshi,
Yes.
can you translate across back to Asad? We'll want to showcase the survey that has been undertaken. We'll just want to showcase it across to the audience. Asad?
Is my screen visible? Okay, great. So thanks, Vibhu. In a short while, what survey you have given us out for? So we have this particular app or ArcGIS survey dashboard kind of a thing where we are able to get the word cloud about the survey. So I would like to share some of the results, like who have actually given up, like what all department they are working into. So I can have a quick understanding of the departments that we are referring to. And the most important part that we are getting is like from the maximum is from sales. Next, I mean, like people are interested for analytics. So this is one of the dashboard that you can configure, one of the dashboard out of hundreds and hundreds different ways to configure the dashboard, where you're getting the real-time updates coming up from sales people or your respected departments, where you can take up your more and more better strategical and planning outreach to your customers or your even business stakeholders, your organization's holder, and so on. So in terms of percentage, if I want to summarize, so I got a lot of complaints, or you can say feedback. It's basically from the analytics, which counters around like 55% or so, and then followed up by visualization and cloud based things. So we are available on the analytics platform as well. So we do not say it's like data analytics, but yes, there is a new word called geo analytics. That's what we are a part of. So to answer your question about the percentage maximum people of the analytics, and we are available in we have the tools and technology integrated with the AI and ML as well, and we are available for virtualization platform as well as on cloud too. So this is just a summary of the short while survey that we did, and thanks for your input. We appreciate your inputs, your kind, and taking your time for this particular survey to fill up. And you can keep on doing this for next few minutes until we close up the session, followed by Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Asad. Meenakshi, we are open for the question answer. I can see a few questions. I'll
Yeah,
go through
sure.
them.
Sure. I would request all the participants to please start posting the questions. As we mentioned earlier, please use the question box on your control panel. Type your questions and we'll take them one by one.
So the first question is, we have been asked, Asad or Vibhu, if you can take that, like, what are we doing into the cement manufacturing companies? It's an interesting question because we already have a few cement organizations that we are working along with them as customers. So Vibhu and Asad, like, probably you can take the
I'll take this.
Put in across your response.
Yes, I'll take this. So this is specifically for the marketing team. One of our client who is using this for marketing hoarding. So what they are doing is like they are trying to get the geotag photographs from the field where they are have asked the agency to put up their hoardings and different advertisements onto the roadside for against a particular hotel or on a particular wall mount. So what they are doing is just like they are getting the geotag photographs and then they are releasing the money for the vendors. So that's number one. Second of the agencies, what they are doing, they are using it for the dealers management. So they would like to have a proper dealer management to be done, like which dealer to cater for which market, the nearest market, or if a particular demand is coming, so which warehouse they have to cater around for. Third, and a very important one, we did a very exhaustive 2 business days exercise for a particular client where we help them out in order to optimize their entire warehouse. So when I'm saying about the warehouse, so what they did, they have a single manufacturing unit. We understand we cannot change that, but yes, the manufacturing unit that is catering for a state where they need to plan it. So it's like in terms of PTPK, in terms of per ton per kilometer data that we try to use for them, and we try to optimize the entire warehouse locations. We gave them the locations for 5 minutes drive time, 10 minutes drive time, and this is how they can reach so that they can reduce their ETA as well as the customer satisfaction as well. So that's for the cement agency, different use cases.
Thanks a lot, Asad. The other question that we have is from the audience. They're asking, how can ISRI India help, for a say MSME like us? We are based on we are based out of Pune. So let me take this one. So
sure.
Any organization, MSME, like we have solution, we didn't talk about it much actually. So we have solutions which are available on cloud, so which happen to be very cost effective. So we have solutions which are on-prem, and exactly all the solutions that we have on-prem are available on cloud also, which happen to be very lucrative. If you want to start small, later you want to grow it across in terms of users or in terms of efficiency of performance of the system, you can increase the load onto it. I also have questions for the cement manufacturing. I guess it's regarding brand awareness and customer churn. So probably you can talk about it. Like in fact, we had covered it across into the slides. So the information that we capture, so the customer churn and brand awareness, right? So depending upon the demographic and the psychographics that or infographics that we have, we can share that information. The user can assess that information, like the analytics tool and the data which is there. Like that will help you across getting to know more about the brand awareness and also the customer churn. Like that we can do along with the competition information also. We have another question which is talking about, Vibhu, probably you can take this one. what are we doing for thermal power generating units?
Sure, sir. So, thermal power generation units, we have, you know, so there is a huge GIS footprint over there at thermal power generation. There are two things about it. If they have their own captive coal mines or not, and another would be if they don't have their captive coal mines. So for a captive coal mine, what they will have is they will have complete mine lease management system, which is based on GIS. For those mines, you have to do rehabilitation, you have to do reforestation, and then once you cover those mine part, you are looking at the logistics of bringing coal from those mines or from nearest railway head to that particular plants. So all this data is getting mapped onto a GIS system. All these assets are being tracked continuously using GPS devices, and you have a centralized dashboard which is monitoring all this movement. Apart from that, you are also looking at the environmental impact, which is again driven by a GIS. So you are looking at ecological hotspots nearby. You are looking at the impact your thermal power plant effluents are creating on the nearby flora and fauna. So there is a complete end-to-end GIS workflow which actually caters to a thermal power plant. This was a very pertinent question. Thank you for the question. Not many people get into that. Thanks.
Thanks, Vibhu. Thanks a lot. Another question that we have is from an IT perspective. Would you consider API monetization as an asset management? If yes, then how do you manage platform? So let me take this one. So I am assuming API monetization, you're talking about API gateways and all. So you are exposing your APIs and you want to manage your say monetization using those APIs, correct? Like whichever vendor is using that API and you're exposing your API. So how much money that you want to charge out of it, right? So the solution, we are not into that game. We are talking about asset management in terms of a physical assets. Yeah, so like a manufacturing unit or a plant, we have asset there, so we can do the entire life cycle of a asset there. In case of a utility, like a utility solution, right? So we can do the asset management for that. This is not the say API gateway or API monetization. We are not into that game. Another question we have is, we are from government body and want to reach out to more number of micro, small and medium enterprises in a very comprehensive way. So we can do that, but as of now, the LOB that we represent, we are part of the enterprise say solution team. We can get you connected to our government team, but the solution that you're looking for, yeah, our software can definitely, we can provide those solutions. We have another one for oil exploration companies. So Vibhu, probably you can take this one. I am working in Oil India Limited in a remote part of the country in Northeast, where hardly one can get good internet connectivity, harsh weather, difficult drilling scenario. So it's just a comment actually, not a question, I'll say. Okay, so I'll go to the
No
other
problem.
one.
I think, yeah, so you,
okay, so
you
I'll
want me to take that up?
No, this was only a comment actually, or you can mention,
Okay,
like
fair
probably
enough.
if you have say offline mode or something, like you can talk about that.
Right, because I've been working very closely with the oil exploration agencies in Northeast, so I think I'll take it up. Oil India is in fact using ArcGIS desktop solutions, and as far as the connectivity is concerned, yes. So we support offline connectivity, especially on our mobile apps. So if you, just the survey link which we shared, survey 123, if you, it can also support a one-to-many relationships, which is typically used in a drilling scenario. You have a long drill and you have a multiple section along that drill to which records are maintained. So you can go to field with that form on your phone in an offline environment, get all your data, come back to your base location where internet is there and get it synced. So connectivity or no connectivity, you are always onto GIS platform. I think I will stop it there.
Sure. Another question which we have is manufacturing process of cement. What is the best way to analyze performance with analytics? Asad, can you take that, please?
Yeah, so I guess it's for spare inventory cost, right?
No. It's for cement actually. Spare inventory. We have another question
Okay.
actually. Like I'll read out to you.
Sure.
So it
So
says
we can optimize the
manufacturing
entire.
process. So they want to understand performance. How do we analyze the performance using our analytics?
Sure. So in terms of understanding the entire manufacturing KPIs, you would definitely be monitoring in terms of different departments that works at a particular manufacturing unit, be it like from a production unit, from your marketing department, your logistic department, supply chain management department, and even though your sales staff people. Punching in, punching out. So all those things can be used up using GIS or Geoanalytics platform by enabling or bringing up their data set onto our platform to understand where the logistics have to happen, where the supply chain management has to happen. And I happened to visit a particular cement manufacturing unit, and I was astounded to see a huge acre of the entire land that on which actually manufacturing unit was operating. So there are different assets actually that are working integrated with each other. So you can have the sensors base also to be done. You can first of all have a layout built up onto a GIS platform, and then if you are using the sensors and monitoring onto the IoT based analytics also you would like to perform, so all those things can happen onto a GIS platform on our technology using our Geoanalytics product suite.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Asad. So another question that I have is it possible to make my spares inventory cost reduced by using geospatial analytics?
Yes, that's very much possible. And so Manikandan, so the answer is yes. And the problem that we see is like overshooting or having a good abundance of a particular spare parts wherever it is not required. So that's number one. How do you do that? It's just like you can have your daily fortnight reports to be done, reported about the spare part that is coming up, and you can understand historically that how much spare parts have been sold out. So you can actually mismatch and just have a benchmarking done that, okay, these much spare parts are in abundance in these locations, so maybe you have to shift it to the places where they are actually in demand or in shortage of inventories location. So all those things can be analyzed using a holistic picture using your geospatial platform. So that's how you can reduce and optimize your cost.
Thanks again, Asad. We have a question asking for our details to discuss offline. We can probably put across the slide, or otherwise you can reach out to us at info @isri.in, esri.in. I'll repeat it. It's info@isri.in, not .com. It's isri.in.
I put it in the chat window also. You can take a note.
Sure. Also, we have a question here. Meenakshi, do we have a couple of minutes?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a question here. Is it possible to interoperate with existing ERP developed? Okay, so I'll answer that. So we have most of the manufacturing companies, like they use SAP happens to be the number one ERP vendor. So we have off-the-shelf connectivity or integration with SAP. Also, if there is any other ERP, if it happens to be a say any other brand, if it happens to be from Oracle or Infor or any other vendor, we can integrate with that. Like we integrated, like it can be number one can be integrated through standard API based. Yeah, so that's possible. Second is we can integrate on the database level also. Like even if for some reason like you have deployed a very old ERP, and at that time like it was not a standard APIs which it was exposing, we can integrate on the database level also. So that is not an issue. Yeah, so SAP, it's off the shelf. Any other brand, if you're talking about, like if you're talking about Infor, Oracle, or any other one, like we'll have standard APIs which we can connect. We don't need to get into the database level. In case if it's a custom developed ERP, and then we can integrate using like we can pull across the data directly from the database, and then we integrate with any other databases that you talk about. If we have RDBMS, we'll integrate with any one of them. So I have a question here on our SaaS platform, software as a service. Would you offer service as pay based on usage subscription or based on license. So it's on the number of users. It's a subscription based, and it's we keep it for a year actually. And also it's on the basis of we give credit, so it's on the usage also. So it's on the number of users and it's on the number of credits. So credit should be, the more you use, the more credits you will use. So it's basically usage and the user. So I guess we have taken most of it. Meenakshi, we'll see in case we are already say 5 minutes over time. So in case if we miss on some questions, we can take it offline. We can reply, we can get back to our audience. Will that be okay?
Sure, sure. That's perfectly fine. I will share all the questions which are pending with your team so that you can have a discussion with the participants individually.
Sure.
Okay, so participants are requesting if they can have the presentation copy. So would that be possible?
So, Meenakshi, you would be sharing the recording with us, right?
Yes, yes.
So we will put this recording on our YouTube channel and we'll share the recording link with all the audience.
Sure, sure, sure. If we can share the YouTube recording also. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's enough. So could you please tell the audience about the contact information where they can reach out to ISRI for further collaboration or further queries?
So they can reach out to us. Sorry. Yeah, please go ahead, Rashmi.
Yeah, it's info@esri.in. It's there on the chat window also. info@esri.in. You can see it on the slide also.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much.
So so thanks a lot, Meenakshi. Thanks a lot to the audience. It was a long session, I'll say 1.5 hours on a webinar. And also will want to thank CII. I really appreciate to have the platform given across ISRI India for sharing our thoughts on or sharing our say more information on ISRI India and the use cases. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you. It was a very informative and quite insightful information from all the speakers today. And I think it was, we all have learned many new things, in fact, during this presentation. And the detailed approach from the team is really, commendable. I mean, we really got good insights and good information about the tools and techniques which you're using so as to improvise the productivity and our operations. I hope all our participants have also enjoyed the webinar. As we mentioned, we'll share the webinar recordings with all the participants so that they can go through and they can reach out to our to the ISRI team at the email ID which has been displayed currently on the screen. Thank you so much for taking out time and joining the session. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, ISRI team.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.